Hey people, I took a nap after this last movie and woke up and checked it. I noticed I got the lowest like ratio on it. And I was thinking it was one of the best movies I ever did. And so that tells me, that somebody's not liking to hear what I'm saying. And so I got thinking about what it was, and either it was this diabolos. People didn't like me saying that it means to the die through the ball, as the as os on the end of a word makes it a noun, so it means this die ball is a verb. And I said that flat earthers would never be able to navigate a boat around the world, without a GPS. And I respect flat earthers for not believing everything the government puts out. For to waking up enough to see that, hey, it is possible for huge government conspiracies to keep us dumb and controlled. Or it was possibly when I called out, Israel and Scotland, the Welsh and Greece for being the Aryans. And I think I'm white. Most of my immediate family has a large ass, powerful legs. So we might even have some large ass mix up in us. I don't know, but I always thought I was mostly French. But there's nothing wrong with being proud and white. There is a problem when you conspire to keep knowledge from other nations, or you conspire to create disruption in other nations or countries due to race. But the main reason I put that in there was so people would make the connection about this key. In the Welsh, Scandinavian, the Greek roots, it means keeper of the keys, the keeper, to show people this connection with this color of the flags and the knowledge of this word key and what it is. Maybe it was when I said that, they confused necromancy and nigromancy, as the black magic and the dead magic. And the reason for that confusion, a Blackfoot, means death. Death is coming. In Egypt, black soil was life. That meant soil full of life. White soil is death. And when you die, you go back into the soil and you give it life. Everything breaks down and creates life. And so that's probably how they get these words confused, or maybe I'm confused. But that's why I strive to find a better truth. Or it may be 100% my fault. I was talking about my prediction I got out of Revelations 18 at the beginning. And I said I was going to try it again. And that's my fault. I over-explain everything because it's all new information, stuff people never heard or thought of before. And so I never get to read as far as I want. And then sometime as I'm reading, every time I read, I pick up more stuff on it, and I find out, I really can't say that on YouTube they're going to take my channel down. Or maybe it was because I said that the ancient writers put twist in these little marks in the language just so most people couldn't read it. But it's not necessarily that. It's to show their intelligence. Like I was telling you, this is an EF, an EQ, an EF. And so when you see this mark at the end of the word, it doesn't happen in many words. They're usually all small words like this, and it tells you to read the next word until this next comma. And so you read this E, the, F, O, and then you read this word again. If this comma was here, you'd read it O, S, O, the phozo, O son. But here you read this as the fu, O-O-S-O-N, the fusion. And so this line reads, this is the U, the vav. Like I say, sometimes they read it as a Y. But this means, read it as a U, amend, time to change, amend, the Lego toys. And so toys is an ancient word, as in you're toying with somebody, you're lying. And to amend the word toys, the ethin, the heathens in, the nations, the ethins in. And so this is the few, F-O-O-S-O-N, the fusion, the playing with words, the whole Bible. The fusion from in. If it looks like it says men, they're it's actually an MB, from in. The fusion from in on the day. This is the day. It's the word they say is day in the Hebrew, Jimmy. And the day, it means, another click, another Jimmy on the ratchet. One more click on the come along. Ego is the worldly you. The Lord, the Jehovah is the real you. And the ego is the worldly you to heathen on. To go about acting like a heathen. And the apostoles is away. Awaste all as. Then the ministry, this is where your word deacon come from. And in is an inhabitor of. Dia means between, through, apart, across, completely. So this is through Conian. Con, K-O-N, that's the control. That's the priest. That's the constellations. Draconian ways. Or Diconian, through Conian ways. Con man. The Diconian move, M-O-V. And this is the same thing a cow says, move. And it's an election. The cow says, I don't have enough grass here. And he looks up for a greener spot. If he sees a greener spot, he says, moo. Moo is Greek for a frictional constant. And other cows, when they hear a moo, it's an election going on. They look up and see if there's a greener pasture. And if they think they don't have enough grass, they'll moo. And when enough of them cows are mooing, that's the election process. Yeah, it's all time we all decide we're going to move. And that's where your word move come from. Come from the cow running out of grass. And the doxes, O. So this omega, just means the end. The doxes, the documents. When you go to court, you're on a docket. The court's agenda. So to amend, to change the words, toys, the nations in. A fusion, to connect from the center, to fusion. From in on the day, ego, the worldly you, the heathen on. To act a heathen, a waste all as, then the Diconian move. Dox's end. And so, all this makes a lot more sense if you read it all in context in this paragraph. But this EF, in this fashion, this was created to cut some of the vulgarity out of it, where people didn't see the vulgar words. And most of the time you see this EF, it just follows by one letter. The few, the three, F-U-U-M-A-S, the fewmas. You'll see there's only certain words that they'll use after these. And so when you see it's a single letter like this, it just means that it reads twice, the foo, E-F-O-O. And so this is how they hide the vulgarity of fuck. In the Hebrew it's just the QH. And so this is the fuck, F, the QH, and then the HM-as, the fuckum-as. And this is the fee, F-E-E-A-U-T-H-N, the fee what on, the cost of it, the fee what on. You'll see this, the fuckum-as comes up often. It'll all be the same words. And this is the F-O-O-N, the phone. And you see here where the comma's on the second letter now. And so that's now the foe, the foe of, the enemy of. The fee what on, what it's going to cost you. And then when you see this, a single letter like this, it's going to read twice, but this iota script has you read it twice also. And so now you're looking at the EQHHH. And so it's the fuck, the first H, and then the second H is he, H-E. And then the third H will read with this next word. You see, wherein he trusted, but he got fucked. There's a good one in Luke here, the F-O-U, the foe, and then O-U-S, whose. The foe who's the piston, the piston is behind you, the enemy behind you. The fee, what to is, the cost of things. Here's, the fool, the F-O-O-L, the fool on. And darkness came over the land, the Scotos. This is an ancient word for the Scots, Scottish, means shades. The Scotos, again, it to the fool on then. And the few to mass, to mass together. Mas is more, Spanish and Latin more. The few, F-U to mass. The few of us to mass together is what it's going to take. This EK just reads as a L. And the late is in the fee, F-E-E, and then N-A, no, not applicable, no late fee, and then L, E-K-L, the last on. The late is in the fee, nay, last on. And so on is spelled different ways, and it means different things. There's several ways to make a O. You can do it with a H or omega. But this is the, the fool on, and this is also the fool on. But this is the fool, and this is the on to see the cycle. And it usually means, as in light, a shade of light. And this is the fool on, the divided cycle. And that means at a time, and at a certain point. To heathen, the foe who's the pickle. This EK here is a L. This is the pickle let to. The foe who's the pickle let to. And so I find things like this, and I go search everywhere they're at. Sometimes I go to all these and read the lines when I see other words beside it that I'm catching pretty good. That's how I learned how to read this. When I get something nailed down pretty good, I'll go read everywhere it's at. And it helps me understand. And that's how I figure out how to read these secrets in here with the key and the ek and the punctuation marks. So I just want to make a little short one here and get y'all some good information. And I'm going to work on something else. But yeah, if you go through here and try to make words out of that, knowing that you're going to read this next word to the comma, wherever the comma sits in that word, and then read it again. This is one I'll have to work on. It's got the omega underneath, or the iota under the omega. And so that means that this letter reads 3 times. That means the end. And it could be the foe, last end of, the enemies, the last end of, the last or the end. And so it doesn't always mean, the last end. It can be the beginning end. But that's why, it's the foe, the enemy, and then 2 omegas is the last end. And I'm going to have to look at this one because it comes up twice here with the Allah, A-L-L, and then the O, Allah. So this is, T-O-T, to it day. To it day of Rhymer wretches on. Age Pagilia. This is the same word for angel, A-G-G-E-L. It's a haggle, a group of harpists. And so the age of the Pagilia sounds like a page, going to be an angel. And so to it day of Rama wretches on. And so it sounds like a ceremony, and it's the wretches on. AIAJE, the age. You'll see this AI and the word eon too. The Pagele, the Pagele, Pagele. What to it? Spermati. The sperm word comes from, the spar is your dick, the spar standing up, and it's also the monument, to the sundial is the spar, and from Thai it's sperm, is the shadow telling the priest what to do. The spermati would too. Who allege they? Who says? Who they says? What to is? The sperm is in. The sperm as in. As. This is one of the few words they get right. And you see, epi, most of the time they'll say it's on, and that's what they'll tell you it means today is on. And here they say it's of because it doesn't fit, but it works. It fits as in the people. The people all on. All the people on. Allah as. ALLOOS. Allah as. The fee. FEE. Knows. Allah as the fee knows. What to it? The spermati. Sow as. Sow, SOW, as you plant. So whose is it in? Is it in? Or so assessed in? And so this is where your word destiny comes from, the east in. Everything you're going to see today in the sky is coming from the east. The destiny. The Christ who is. So I stay away from this word, the Christos, because the Christians are the worst of all the religious fanatics. They're stubborn. But this word comes from the old Hebrew word. You won't see Christ in the Hebrew, but you will see a word they say is Egypt, that is the son of Ham, and that's where this word comes from the Christ too. And so when it's used in this fashion as east in Christ too, it means Easter. It means the Easter equinox. Allah as the fee knows. What to it? The spermati. The spermati. The shadow coming from the spar. So as Eastern Christos. So ending with the OS means this is a verb. The Christ is a verb, not a noun. The OS makes it a person, the person that the Christ who is. And so that was a big deal in Egypt, was, aligning their calendar every year at Easter, when they would have to trim days or add days to get the magic in their calendar to work out right. And that's all that means. That's when Basset had to come and unite the king of the north with the king of the south. The sun was crossing over the equator, and the priest had to come and adjust the calendar for the next year. And so back in the time, that Orion in Egypt, this crossing was here, as the north and south side of the river here. This is the Milky Way. But this is the God Allah, it's where the knowledge comes from. And all the people that knew, they knew that God was this knowledge that come into their head that they would write, and they didn't know where it come from. It's all the same one, Hermes, Allah, Thoth, and it's the God of writers. It's the knowledge where they don't know where it comes from, it just comes. Where's these thoughts come? And so people have got dumbed down so much they can't read any of these writings. And it was for your Hollywood screenwriters, so they could become the new gods, because they aren't near as intelligent. So in order to be gods, they have to dumb you down a lot. So that's the whole plan, is to dumb you down so they can become gods, so their writings will last forever. And that's how they believe, God is. That's your Ba, the reputation you left behind. And every time somebody repeats a quote that you wrote, it brings part of your spirit, your Ba, back to life and lives forever. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.